to My American Dream, a monthly program of Finlandia Foundation National. During this program series, we are interviewing Finnish entrepreneurs who have come to the U.S. chasing their American dream. Finlandia Foundation is a nonprofit philanthropic organization that was established in Pasadena, California in 1953 for the purpose of supporting and celebrating Finnish-American heritage while maintaining ties to contemporary Finland. A major source of private funding for Finnish and Finnish-American cultural activities, Finlandia Foundation awards grants and scholarships and sponsors a variety of programs, from concerts to book talks to webinars and online presentations like My American Dream. To finance the production of its programming, Finlandia Foundation relies on private donations. Please visit our website to find out how you can help.
Welcome to My American Dream. Today we are in sunny Austin, Texas, and I have the pleasure of talking with Jani Tuomi. And I will go from there. Let Jani tell us a little bit about your background, the fact that you don't know whether you're first, second, or third gen Finn, but somewhere in between. And but anyway, tell us about yourself.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad I'm here, and probably the first time in Texas I've heard someone say my name properly, not Jani Tuomi. So yeah, that's appreciative. It sounds already like I'm around Finns and at home. So yeah, my mother came over from Finland when she was 18 and chose to go to Sault Ste. Marie. Mm-hmm. It was either Italy or Sault Ste. Marie, Canada.
Tough
so
choice
that apparently that was really obvious for her to go to the Sioux. But growing up there, it looks a lot like Finland in terms of the beauty of the nature and Lake Superior and everything. So there's a large Finnish community in Sault Ste. Marie, Canada. And then my father was born there, and he comes from, I think it was his grandparents that came over, and then his father even went back to Finland to fight, in World War II. So I'm guessing 3.5 generation kind of Finn, or 2.5 depending which way you count it. But
cool, cool. So your childhood, was that like most in most sort of Finnish descendant families in that part of the country? I mean, you were. Was there much of a Finnish community that you connected with, and traditions and Christmas and pannukakku and all that stuff?
Yep, all of it. Starting with mojakka, which apparently is a huge debate, the way Finns make it and the way Canadians make it. Yeah. As kids, we didn't really like it too much, but everything else from a food perspective was amazing. We had a large Finnish community, like I said, in terms of the church was a Finnish Lutheran church. The ski club was Hiawatha Sioux Finnish Ski Club. Yeah. There was a Finnish Rest Home Association, which had all of these different living arrangements for people who wanted to retire, all the way through to nursing homes, which I think is the largest in Canada, focused just for Finns. So that was that was really nice. My grandmother ran the place. My parents worked there. Even my mother was headed up the nursing section. I think my dad helped with building, even one of the large buildings called Kotitalo. So we were attached to that community. Both my grandmothers lived there even as they aged. So I'd play piano there. We'd have all kinds of stuff. And certainly Christmas was always fun. And when we were younger, they even had, certainly when we were really young, we had to do all the tontus and dancing like that, which then you turn into a teenage boy and you're kind of like, I don't want to do that ever again. But no, it was really nice to grow up in the Sioux. It felt like there was a real connection to what I imagine life growing in Finland would have been like.
Yeah. Have you been back to Finland frequently?
So my mom's sister still lives there. She didn't choose Sault Ste. Marie. So we go visit her. I think the last time was just a couple of years before the pandemic. Yeah. And now that my kids are a little older, I definitely want to take them back up and show them probably more of the kind of the midnight summer sun view versus the winter view. But yeah, I'm looking forward to going back.
Yeah, cool. So you then ended up obviously going to school there, and you studied in Canada also, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, whereabouts?
In Waterloo.
Waterloo.
Yeah, just outside of Toronto by about an hour and a bit.
Yeah. Played ice hockey?
I'm the only Finnish Canadian guy who didn't, right?
Okay. Well,
half my family did.
Yeah.
I did some of the other sports like javelin, and badminton, skiing, cross country running. But my cousins even played all the way through OHL, got drafted, and I was not so much the athlete in that sense.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of hockey, and then my dad even threw javelin a lot, which he taught us, and that was really cool to learn that. That feels like a very Finnish thing.
Oh, it was,
especially in the 70s for my dad. And we didn't have any big downhill ski, jumps like they do, but certainly cross-country skiing was big for us.
Yeah, yeah. So what did you end up studying then?
Math and computer science. So a very big mathematics term called combinatorics and optimization.
Yeah.
It just means you can write algorithms, and they work.
Yeah.
And but then I learned that that's not something I want to do for the rest of my life. So that's a very special kind of developer that sits, in a very quiet room and codes all day. So
I know. I've seen many of those.
Yeah.
Most of them have glasses, though you don't.
Yeah. I've contacts.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
So I cheat there, but but it was awesome. I learned a lot about how to become somebody that could build technology products. So even though I very quickly wanted to stop programming, I loved the idea of bringing products to people.
Yeah.
I always thought if I could make software or products that my mom could use without breaking them, then that was success.
Yeah.
So that was always why I liked working with people and users to build stuff.
Yeah. So you started off in actual sort of product development, and I guess then progressed more towards figuring out what products should do and be rather than building them.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What type of businesses was that in?
A lot, actually. So I worked at companies like Deloitte, where we would build for a lot of other big global companies. Some of them were really kind of boring, like mining companies, but they spend lots of money building cool things. So we got to build, for example, all this digital stuff to track big dump trucks and flat tires and when to repair them. Especially one was in a mine where you're in northern Canada, you're 2 miles down, and if the drill breaks, it takes the whole mine out for 3 weeks. So if you can kind of track vibrations and send that through and have the miners download that data as they go up the elevator, because there's no wireless down there.
Yeah.
All kinds of cool stuff like that. So building stuff like that was really good in mining, construction, banking. We had to build one where we were tracking how much oil was in a tanker sitting off the shores of eastern Canada, so they could value it, and then they could sell or trade it without it ever coming off the boat. It's just like kind of weird stuff like that, right? So I did a lot of stuff, in sort of what most people don't use. But then I started building into more like mobile apps, like what you might use, and that became really fun.
Yeah.
So
when did you get the urge for doing something on your own rather than working for big companies and being a small Lego piece of the whole thing?
Well, my dad ran his own construction company in the Sioux, and so I always thought that it would be cool to follow in his footprints, but I couldn't carry, shingles and shovel concrete, so I wasn't built for that, but the idea was certainly to do something for myself and to run a business like that. So I always wanted to get into something, but I always felt like I was learning really cool stuff with these big companies. That's where you can do like really, really impactful stuff. But I think when I saw some healthcare stuff happen in my family, that was the moment where I'm like, geez, I really want to now take all my 20 years of sort of product and see if we can do something in this digital health area. Okay. So that really kicked me into wanting to do that.
Okay, so it's really based on sort of internally built passion and sort of something that you're trying to impact, which is not global politics, but something very tangible and close to you.
Hopefully, yeah. No, it was definitely that moment where I was like, and I think my youngest brother did the same thing. We both said, wow, we want to go into healthcare. And so my brother went the pharma route, and he works with pharma companies, and I kind of went this wellness prevention route to see if we could stop these diseases. Yeah. And now we're meeting in the middle again and working together, I think, probably even later this year on a project together, which is funny. 4 years ago when I started this imaware thing, he's like, oh, geez, you should really focus on this heart disease stuff and go look at preventable conditions. So,
yeah. Wow. So your company, imaware, is really super exciting, and it's a nice way of seeing how sort of two big sort of different technology fields are emerging into one, where you have technology really being used as technology should, which is to enhance or do something to some other technology. So tell us a little bit about what imaware does.
Yeah, so most of the time today you go to the doctor, especially if you go with a pain, say you got like, oh, I got this pain somewhere here, right? Or my heart's fluttering around, or I'm coughing a lot. So you go and you get sick care. You're already sort of sick, and then the doctor says, yeah, sure enough, looks like you're sick, right? So then they draw a bit of blood from your, from your vein, and then again they look at the numbers and they say, yeah, you're sick. So I call that sick care. But if you do that same blood draw, maybe a year earlier, the first time you feel that cough or something, maybe you catch something a bit earlier. And what if you knew, for example, that in your family you had these conditions? Why don't we test when you're much younger, like 21 or 25?
Yeah.
Maybe you can start to catch these things earlier. So when you have, apps and digital technology, it makes getting that blood test much easier and affordable and scalable out to the masses. So the idea is, let's not run these blood tests only when you're sick, but let's run them a year earlier, or maybe every year, and look for things that maybe we should be watching out for, right? So if diabetes is in your family, let's watch your kids to see if they're going to develop diabetes and catch it the moment it starts to tick up, right?
Yeah.
Then you don't have to even get sick.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
So I think technology helps that a lot these days, where we can take that awesome lab technology that's sitting in these PhDs, and they're sort of building awesome lab tech, but we can connect to it with digital and open it up for everybody to get access to.
Yeah. So does imaware actually do you run your own labs in the background, or are you more of the IT sort of connection between the lab and the consumer?
So right now we're really focused on that patient to lab, but the more we go into the lab, we're realizing we want to actually get a lab. Yeah. So probably by the middle to end of this year, we should probably have our own lab as well and really open that up. There's hundreds and hundreds of biomarkers that doctors don't even test for that we think should be opened up and made available in certain conditions.
Yeah.
So that's where I think we're going to naturally go later this year.
Yeah, okay. So for those of you out there who caught one of the My American Dream sessions maybe year and a half ago with the Finnish company Elo. Elo is actually, they send out a kit to their customers or patients, they're probably not called patients, customers, and which is a blood draw kit, and that kit actually comes from you guys.
Yep.
And so it's funny to see that we have these two Finnish related companies that have come together, probably not by design, but more just as it has happened.
Yeah, Ari had an awesome vision, and I don't think he set out to say, hey, I want to work with another Finn.
No.
But we got connected, and then of course when I saw his name, and probably he saw my name, he's like, wow.
Yeah.
So it was just natural to want to work together. So we both had these ideas, and we thought, well, if we put it together, and he's doing such awesome things there, I wanted to help him do everything possible to succeed. And I think he's doing an amazing thing out there, raising his capital, getting his brand out. So it's awesome to see. You don't every day see Finns in America, doing startups as much. There's awesome things coming out of Finland always, but to see another Finn in the Bay Area, is very exciting.
Yeah. No, for sure, and it's it is, and it's very exciting actually to see that we have, of course, other Finnish people also that are succeeding in the sort of wellness sort of space in general. So I think that Finland is eventually not only going to be recognized here by sort of as a techie company and a mobile related company, but I think that the whole wellness and healthcare thing is really growing nicely.
Yeah, there's some cool companies coming out of Finland too, even.
Oh yeah.
That I think we're going to hear much more about in the coming years.
Yeah, absolutely. So when did you decide to move to sunny Austin, and why?
So COVID was a perfect time to move. As crazy as it sounds, nobody was traveling, nobody was moving, nobody was renting U-Hauls. So when imaware started to get a bit busier, because we are started in the United States and backed by Texas investors, they said, why don't you come down to Austin and really build this business up? And the middle of COVID made lots of sense. I'm being sarcastic, of course, but funny enough, the airplane was empty, the movers were free, and so we moved a year and a half ago. And the weather's unreal. It's March here, and it's 20 degrees Celsius today. So, but that was the reason why, was that we think we're in a moment where I need to be here with the team and really focus, because we had some team members in Canada, some in the US, across different cities, and we just moved everybody into Austin to bring that leadership, the investors, and the team, most of whom who work from home, but we can still come in the office when we want to. So
that's cool. And you have a fantastically cool office here, really downtown, just across the street from Capital Factory, which is like one of the real engines of entrepreneurship in Austin. So how do you find hiring people here locally, or have you gotten out to that yet? How hard is it?
Well, we have to compete against Indeed, Facebook, Google. Everybody's in Austin, and it's tough because we're not $1 billion or $10 billion, .com kind of company. But people really want to work for healthcare companies, and we've had people quit high-paying jobs at PayPal because they just want to help somebody, or they have a family story too, right? So recruiting is actually pretty fun because we get involved, we talk to the person, and they're like, wow, you're telling me I can build an app that connects lab results to the person directly, and I can build that? So engineers especially love to come here and work and build stuff like that, whereas before they might have been one of 10,000 building a Facebook widget. So recruiting is, of course, very competitive here, but I think we have a good story to tell.
Yeah, and one of the things that being involved in many companies that are sort of different stages of startups, that you really see as one of the big changing things over the past 10, 20 years is that people really want to work for a purpose. It's not anymore only that you make good money or you develop yourself and stuff like that, but actually the companies need to have a purpose, and that's really heartwarming, of course, to see. And that's in cases like yours, it's really helpful because this is doing something much more valuable than a widget, as you say.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy to think, like, I'm sure whoever's watching this show might say, well, geez, I mean, in Finland, if you could have a job after any of the major events, you would take any job you could. And here we are now in the 2020s having the ability to pick and choose a job. So it's amazing how far the world has come so quickly that we have that luxury of saying, I can get good pay, I can grow personally, and I can have a mission, and I can pick companies now, right? So
exactly,
it's a crazy time compared to probably when my grandparents grew up. And they're like, can you cut a tree down? You got a job. And you took it.
Yeah, but as you see in your own family tree, lots of entrepreneurship there also. I mean, that's and in Finland, that certainly has been sort of one very strong strain early on that maybe disappeared a little bit, but it's very strongly back as you know.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. No, I think that's a good Finnish trait is, I don't know if you want to call it sisu meets business and entrepreneurship, but that I think Finns who have a desire, to do something kind of don't give up. And in entrepreneurism, you got to say, you hear no a lot. And I think having that inner strength to say, like, I can get past this, let me go get that yes. Let me hear no 100 times and still have energy. That's something I'm really glad that I was brought up with. And you got it somewhere inside, right? So that's definitely the word sisu for me. But
but it's that's one thing, that learning from the no's and being able to extract something from why did people say no? Why didn't they buy my product? And sort of that recurring, just learning from those processes is of course very much what it's all about.
Yeah.
Do you ever in running and building imaware, do you sort of feel that there is something Finnish about what you're doing, or in your management style, or in your purpose, or the mission, the vision of the company? I'm not saying that there wouldn't be things that you could draw lineage to, but do you actually consciously think about it at any point of time?
I think definitely the way I treat and talk with people and manage, I think has that connection to who I was, and how I was, raised. It's very easy nowadays to overpromise and underdeliver.
Yeah.
And especially in healthcare, you've seen some obviously very bad companies make claims.
Yeah.
We are behaving very Finnish, flying under the radar, just sort of doing our job. There's no big fancy PR out there about what we're doing. We're not bragging, but I still think, the science that we're trying to build is just staying focused and treating it more like a marathon than a sprint, I think is 100% the way I was brought up to be. Like, don't get distracted, don't go after the fame, and just do what you got to do, right? And so in this venture with imaware, that's what we've built a culture of that. Like, let's not get distracted by what everyone else is doing and chasing shiny objects and being on a podium and bragging all day long. None of that really matters. Let's just focus on the patient, make sure we can help them, and then eventually, that will compound over time. So I think that style is in across everybody here. And then I think also just we're very, kind of just everyone just gets the job done. There's like less talking, more doing. I think, which is also good. And I think prevention, just that idea, like, I don't see Finnish people living life of excess, health. They're generally a healthy people with good exercise, diet and balance. So we try to promote that style of living, which is how I was grown up. So we don't really promote a lifestyle of eating 5,000 calories a day and junk food and all that. How we operate as employees and the messaging we put out to people is you can get healthy by living a certain type of lifestyle. So when we work with companies like Elo especially, we help them actually become very successful. So Elo is very much a mission-aligned company, and they of course have a very strong tie to Finnish culture and values. So I think it's the way we work with our partners is also very, again, much a Finnish trait. Instead of us saying, hey, we can be everything to everybody, we partner with other companies because we know what we're good at and we know what we're not. So
now that's a very sort of good and valuable, and I think reasonably Finnish trait is to really be able to focus in on things that you're good at and stick to that and become better at that. And again, that's something that has changed over the past 20 years, because previously you tried to build sort of full stack things and be everything, even if you're a really small market with limited resource and all of that. And I think that people have become much better at really realizing what they're good at and then doubling down on that.
It's the only way to really succeed, right?
In
the long run.
It is. I mean, this whole thing makes me think again of one of my very early on learnings that I got from a fellow Nordic venture capitalist before the boom bust and everything. But anyway, he said this thing that, as a Nordic person that is reasonably low-key and all of that, one thing that you have to really keep in mind when you come to the US is that never confuse motion with movement. And that's a very good way of putting it, in that we all see these, as you say, shiny objects and lots of fanfare and noise and stuff around fluff. There's nothing underneath. And so really focusing on the movement rather than the motion is the thing.
That's a cool way to say it,
Yeah. So anything else that you would feel being valuable or interesting to a sort of Finnish-American or Finnish-American interested audience to share in terms of what you do or how you got here?
Well, I think maybe two things. One is because there's so few, what I'll say, North American Finns, it's really nice to run into, like I said, Ari and others like yourself. I think we should all strive to connect more and just do more of that. It's very easy for who we were when we grew up to just sort of fizzle away a bit, and we'll be good Finns, but we'll be part of a bigger community of Americans or Canadians. So I think it'd be really cool, and honestly, if anyone ever wants to chat, I'm here. If I can help, a 24-year-old Finnish Canadian or Finlander start up a company, that would be my pleasure. So if I can teach anybody, I'm here, and I think I'm really the only Jani Tuomi in Austin, so pretty easy to find.
Easy to find.
Yeah, but I think that's important, is obviously wanting to help others, and there is such an entrepreneurial spirit in Finns that, if I can do anything to help, I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
And then just a more broad message is, as an entrepreneur, that hardest step you got to take is the first step. So I always love to tell people, like, just take that first step. It only gets easier from there. It might get harder, but at least you've done the first step.
Yes.
Right? So it's like getting over yourself, which sometimes as Finnish people, we can be a little shy, right? And find a lot of reasons not to do something sometimes, you know? But it's like sometimes having that confidence or having someone around you to help you have that confidence, our community can help raise a lot of other more entrepreneurs and have those awesome ideas come to market. So I always think, just take that first step, right? Or, it's like you're in a sauna, you go jump in a snowbank. Take that Finnish mindset and do that in entrepreneurism, right? You got an idea, let's jump in and let's do it. So
fantastic. Well, Jani, a pleasure to talk to you. A real pleasure to bring your story to the wider audience, and I certainly hope that you will get some people pinging you and looking for advice.
I look forward to it.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you all.